Are we audible now? We are live. I know you guys are probably going to get that, you know, the amazing ads that play before Twitch things. Awesome. Well, as soon as you're done with the ad, everybody talk at the same time, as is customary. Wow. Oh my god. So you're still... Alright, I don't know. I'm going to have to do some looking around on this. I'm going to shut voice meter down. We're going to do this the normal way instead of worrying about Discord configs. Hold on. Alright, and now I just set you guys all the speakers. Set this all to default so that we're not worrying about any of that. I don't know how. I got this working on my personal stream the other day, so I thought it would just work. This is what I get for... This is my hubris. Okay, how about now? Can you guys talk now? Well, now I can't hear you. Shit. That's because I need to change things over here. Hold on. Alright, can you guys talk now?
We're talking.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
So Journey,
We're talking.
Okay.
Cantaloupe, watermelon, cantaloupe.
Okay, we are now on. I can hear us, but we are very low.
Yep, and so now I will just boost everything up, make it nice and loud.
All right, we'll keep talking so you can check the level
Yes,
there.
we will keep talking. I'm nervous to look at the screen. I won't look at the screen. Okay.
Well, this is gonna be a short stream because of all these issues, but it's Five Nights at Freddy's, so you'll get a vertical slice of the game, regardless. It's not exactly a long game. Try now.
All right, we can.
Yes, we are chatting about Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay, you look like you're in line with me at least. Hopefully the game isn't too loud.
No, it sounds like the stream is just quiet overall.
Well,
PhD Sim says it's getting a little better.
Okay, well,
You're just gonna have to bump the whole thing up, I think, is what's going on.
Okay, well, let me see what I can do.
You're gonna have to pump those numbers.
Yep. Try now. I should be really loud.
Do we have ones that go to 11? We just need to get ones that go to 11.
Well, I set you at 200%, so I'm hoping that'll do it.
It's a little better. It's a little better.
It's a little better. Is the game making sound? Because right now, for me, the game is silent.
I can't hear the game.
Yeah.
Oh, I see static.
Turn down the game if you can.
The game is not making sound. Anyway, I guess we should recap intros. Do you guys want to do intros again?
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay.
Let's just go.
Somebody read the land acknowledgement at least.
I can read it. So, we acknowledge that in Milwaukee we live and work on traditional Potawatomi, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee homelands along the southwest shores of the Michigami, part of North America's largest system of freshwater lakes, where the Milwaukee, Menominee, and Kinnickinnic rivers meet, and the people of Wisconsin's sovereign Anishinaabe, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Oneida, and Mohican nations remain present.
And we can skip intros, I suggest, which is fine with me. I'm going to type myself into chat, though.
Yeah, we can just do our intros in chat if we want.
Yes. So, why are we playing Five Nights at Freddy's other than Ren has a death wish and wants to bring all of the 14-year-olds to our stream? The answer is because I am particularly interested in how this game is remediating existing.
What's going on?
Oh boy, now we're loud. Hold on, let me get that audio turned down on the game. God forbid that Five Nights at Freddy's 1 be a running application. I mean, my God, barely works. All right, that should be better. So, I'm particularly interested in how this game remediates existing horror tropes in a way that is effective for digital distribution, if you will.
So, what do you mean by that?
I mean, this game doesn't seem to do anything new, even though it was very explosive compared to other horror games. So what about it makes it so viral is particularly of interest to me. My take is that it's not doing anything different than like a slasher piece. It's just cutting those down into bite-sized chunks that you can put on YouTube or you can put on something else that ends up working out very well.
So for those of us who might not be, as plugged in about the kind of general response to this game, can you elaborate a little bit on its virality or otherwise, the reception of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I should just touch base and say, is everybody relatively familiar with this game, or is this new for somebody?
This is
all I know about it are the
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I should just say, Janelle, first of all, we are sitting in an abandoned pizzeria, and these guys are gonna come kill us.
I'm not sure why we're doing this then. What happened here?
I'm broke. This is a part-time job.
Do you work at this pizzeria?
I do. I am the security guard.
I thought it was empty, abandoned.
Well, do things need to make sense?
Not necessarily.
What? Did it come out very recently?
So
It
the
came out
original,
in 2014.
yes, the original is from 2014. It has become a franchise. There are like 6 of
Right.
these fuckers.
See, that sounds right to me, because I feel like I've heard the name for a long time. And I did know the thing that it's basically a kind of, Chuck E. Cheese type situation redone. Basically to almost express all the creepiness all of us already felt at any given Chuck E. Cheese. And explore that creepiness, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I haven't been to Chuck E. Cheese in God knows how long, and I don't want to go back for that reason. It's terrifying and wrong.
So, in terms of the gameplay element, I think this is part of horror games in general is also like because horror games
Shoot.
I'm thinking of something like Silent Hill versus Resident Evil, right? They both play differently in terms of like how you control the character.
Yes.
So when it comes to the gameplay here, what is the control of your person? Like, what does that feel like? And does this game, when you first start it up, does it tell you all the controls and everything, or is it more like you have to figure out the controls as you play?
Well,
that then approaches horror in a different way.
yes. So, well, I just thought there might be an option menu, and there isn't. So I think that tells you a lot about how little it tells you about the controls. I just literally crashed the application because I hit end or escape thinking, oh, well, there's got to be an options menu. The controls of this game are very basic. It does tell you, but they're diegetic. So I can shut doors, like so. And this is like a last case scenario to stop them from coming into my room. I can light up the hallway to see if they're there, which is fantastic. Also, I'm going to mute the call because we've already heard it once. I can press down to open the camera, and then I can look at all these cameras and click across them. So there's no control that isn't explained, but the way that they're explained is not by tutorial. It's just there's a diegetic button on the wall that says light. In that way, it's very much a text adventure game, if you will. And our only task is to survive. Like, we're just gonna sit here, and I've got this power meter on the right, and it shows me how much I'm using that power on the right, and we're just gonna wait. And we either die or we win, and that's it. It's a very simple game. I've heard it referred to as a resource management simulator, also a stress management simulator.
Well, because right, you have like basically like a set amount of electricity that you can use to operate all these machines, right?
Yes.
So that like you have to basically, I think the gameplay loop of it is like you have to like observe all of these different like security cameras and stuff, so you close the doors at the correct time so the characters don't come in, right?
Exactly.
But if you try to like close the door for the whole thing, then your electricity runs out and you lose. So you can't just like close the door the whole time. So it is partly resource management, it sounds like.
As for when this game came out, it blew up on YouTube. People like Markiplier started playing it. And what was really common was scare compilations, because the jump scares are, you know, pretty well animated, and also shareable, I think. They're not very long. In fact, you can still go and look at those original, you know, kind of shock clips from Markiplier on his channel and other people, Jacksepticeye. A couple big YouTubers kind of exploded on just being kind of FNAF YouTubers. I think Dawko's the one that has, like, progressed the furthest into now, which is kind of weird. I wouldn't have been him I would have expected to end up that far in. And he's still making FNAF content because these games keep fucking coming out. Matt Pat, otherwise known as, you know, the game theory guy, has like 47 FNAF videos or some ridiculous number.
Goodness.
Yeah, so this game has become, and this series has become kind of explosive. Although, you may be like, well, why are there so many game theory episodes about it? And the reason is because you may notice, if I go to some of these cams, these are pictures on the wall. In this here, like right here, there's a rule thing here. This piece of paper will actually switch out over time, and sometimes lore will be revealed on it. And that was basically all there was to lore in the first game. But Scott Cawthon, the creator, has added substantially more obtuse lore over the years. Not much is happening right now because the phone guy should be talking to me, but I turned him off. Because, honestly, he's kind of annoying. So that's the 411 on all of this nonsense.
What are the drawings on the wall there? Do we know that? The kind of like the child/pencil drawings?
Paint drawings. I mean, it looks like they were done in paint. I think they're just supposed to be like exactly what you said. There's not like a lot. I don't want to say there's not a lot of depth here, because there is. It's just that the surface level doesn't have a lot of depth. Things are here to make it look and feel like a Chuck E. Cheese. You know?
Nah.
Oh, somebody's moving around.
Oh.
Now we begin. So, you may notice there's not a lot technically going on here. These are just still images.
So I have a point to raise then. The fear in this game is seeing the same camera angles, right, again and again, and then almost to the point where it is boring, and then something happens, you know? Is that what... Am I right in thinking that?
I wonder if it's less boring and more like... I feel like for me, I would be like in a constant heightened state. Like for me, when I watch horror movies, right, where I know there's going to be like a jump scare, I get like this heightened sense because I want to be on like guard for it, right? And so maybe it's not necessarily boring, but it is a consistent, like, tension. It feels like a consistent tension, right? Where it's like my senses are kind of suspended in this thing, which can get boring after a while.
Well, that's the challenge of game design, right? Can you make it so that doesn't feel boring like it might seem to be on paper, right? With just the right amount of, certain constraints, right? Like you can't really look in all the directions you want to look, or the other things that they are used in this kind of situation, but also the frequency and randomness of the interruption.
So the question now is, how is this game going to create a sense of suspense, going from the 411 as Ren put it to, what's going to happen inevitably.
It's also worth mentioning that, like, this, oh, great. I love that he's just, like, coming right up to the camera. It's fantastic. Really making me feel great. This basic position that I'm in, it's made worse by the fact that I'm using a curved monitor, but this is a very, like, this angle is very fisheye.
Right.
And on top of that, you're getting, like, I don't know how intentional this is. I don't think it is. But there's a lot of, like, visual tearing going on with the textures as I move back and forth. And unfortunately, or fortunately for the game anyway, oh great, somebody else is out. Fuck. I thought I was only going to have to deal with one of these guys on night one. This is not great. I don't like it.
Can someone parse this visually for me? I may just be looking away from the screen at the wrong times. I mean, I see what you're doing, right? You're using your resources, the light, and shutting the door. You're going to security cameras, right? Oh, is that the first one that's out standing by the table there? Is that the idea? Okay, so have we seen one actually come to the room yet? Did I miss that?
No, one hasn't come to the room yet, but suspense is increasing. tension is increasing.
If one gets
Mhm.
to the room, you get like this jump scare where they come attack you,
Mhm.
and then you have to restart the night.
Okay, so what is the near miss, the successful near miss look like if they don't quite get to the room? In other words, it's just from the security cameras that you know when to close your door and actually lock the door. Is that the idea?
I think so.
It's
if
from.
I'm not mistaken.
So the security cameras actually don't matter that much, but like for what's worth, I'm looking at them a lot more than I probably should be, just because it's more interesting for you guys that way. Okay, fuck, he's got to be in the room. I don't know where he is. Okay, one of them just absolutely disappeared on me. This is not great.
So is your goal to, of course, just like survive the night? Okay, and then your only defenses are observing these horrifying things as they come at you, but also closing the door to block them out?
Yes.
So what happens if they get to the door and you close the door?
That's the near miss.
But my question is, do they just stay there and you just kind of... In other words, why not close the door as soon as you load in?
Because if I close both the doors, I will be eating power like crazy.
I see. Okay, so where do you see how power is like a resource? Is that kind of... Is that visualized anywhere, or is that something that you just figure out?
Bottom left-hand corner, probably where the serious play thing is, actually.
Yeah, where the
Right.
logo is.
I'll move it before the next round.
Yeah.
Okay.
And following up on Jamel's question, if you shut a door on one just in time, do they then leave?
Yes, they reset.
Oh, they reset. Okay.
And then they come after me again.
Or are they just toying with you because theoretically then they can just come at any point and they're just like, I'm gonna go back now, haha.
Woo! There he is. Jeez, he got me. I am so stressed. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's not good. I didn't like that.
I can't play this game.
I didn't like that. I at best will watch some.
I haven't seen it yet. This is on delay, I think, right?
Oh my god.
There it is. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was just a split second. But
Yeah.
Alright, hold on. Let me tab out and move this the Streamlabs thing around quickly.
Would you mind making the chat a little bit smaller?
I would not mind that at all.
yeah, it just takes that, especially because you can't really see the right side of the whole room at all.
Yeah, let's get rid of chat actually for this. I'll just make chat invisible.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
so bye chat. It's very nice to have you.
And then move Lunchstone to I think
Lunchstone
top
top.
right, and I would make it a little smaller.
Well, I'll put it here and I'll make it a little bit
Oh,
smaller.
that's good.
So I could be dead right now.
Or bottom right. Bottom right would work. There's nothing there. Not that you should keep fiddling with the stream. Just
No,
play.
Yeah.
they will not wait for me. They are not gonna wait for me. So
Is there no pause button? I'm
No.
presuming.
no, God no.
So there's the menu, right? But that's to like start the game, but that's it. So there's no like in-game pause menu.
So now we're dealing with another one because there's actually 4 of these guys. His name is Foxy. He's the worst. He just makes a beeline straight for your left door. So if I don't give him enough camera time, he will just run straight for my door and kill me immediately. And you can see him running down the hallway.
It's kind of different to hear you kind of talk about it because it feels like you've played quite a bit of this game, and so you know like almost like you have a meta knowledge, right? Like this fox is going to do this, which is kind of, it's almost like rewatching a horror movie, watching you play this, as opposed to watching a horror movie, right? It's like I don't know if you guys have had this experience. So you're like watching, I don't know, like Friday the 13th Part 4 with your friend who's seen it like 3 times, right? And he's like, oh wait, watch this kill's gonna be great, right? Or whatever, right? And that's that's kind of what it's like watching Ren play this right now. It's like Ren has watched the movie already, knows what's gonna happen, and is almost spoiling it for us as we're going along.
Well, I could be evil and just set up scares and not tell you and just sit back and watch you guys watch me die over and over again.
No, that's
it's
fine.
The fuck? I hate him.
It seems like this game very much, I mean this isn't like the most novel of perspectives. I don't think it's very much, I think, remediating some of the feeling of like following the protagonist in a horror film, right? Where like the killer is right behind you, right? But you never really know right where the killer is, right? That's like in every horror movie. That's like, oof, yeah. It's kind of funny watching it on mute. I presume they're making some sort of sound or something.
Yeah.
But on mute, it's just like a cuddly bear just suddenly appeared in the door. But in a horror movie, right, like you purposely don't know where the monster is. Like in Jaws, right, very famously, right, Spielberg wanted more of the shark, but to the film's benefit, they couldn't get the animatronics. Speaking of animatronics, to work very well, and so they had to like cut it back. But it made the film better because the less you know about the thing, the more scary it is, right? And this game is all about that feeling of that lack of information, right? And you're only getting little bits of it. Oh, he's behind this. I've got to run in the opposite direction now. Or oh, they're there. I got to do this, right?
Well,
and so,
that works with the positioned, cameras, as found footage or whatever, where kind of like Cloverfield or something else, where you're seeing the mediated horror. Like you see, there's like a generation of horror films now that use instant messaging as a medium to build suspense and frighten people. And the idea of who's on the other side of that sort of screen, and
I can't.
Horror is about the theme. Sorry.
No, I was saying I
the
can't.
Horror is about exactly what I was going to say. Horror is about the feeling of helplessness as well, right? That you can't sort of get out or you can't escape, and that's big play up here.
Something that makes me think of too is part of, I think horror, and I'm thinking especially with the slasher genre, where it's like the stereotype, or not the stereotype, but like the common scene where someone's running away and then the killer like somehow randomly appears next to them, and it seems I'm thinking specifically of like Friday the 13th, the video game, like the original one as well, where it feels like the killer or the person who's attacking you has an authority over the space that the player or the character does not have. Right? They are able to traverse the space more effectively, efficiently, and
Freddy Krueger.
knowledgeably than anybody else. Right? And I think that's part of the horror of something like this too, is that the cameras, even though you are literally rooted to the spot here, right? Like, basically, the camera angle, it's like you're a security camera looking at security cameras, is what I think of when I see, because when you're the human, really all you can do is, like, rotate back and forth in your viewpoint.
He is right there. He is right on my left-hand side. Oh my god. Fuck me.
But by giving you access to these security cameras, it creates a spatial environment in your mind as to see like, oh, these animatronics can traverse all of this space, and I am stuck here in this one position, all helpless, and I cannot move, right? All I can do is like do these small little things
and the FNAF, right? The FNAF, when you have to click the buttons moving between the CCTV camera following the guys through the halls, and you can't quite click it right, and you're like, oh, and then you go on and he's not there, and then you come out and he's right there in front of you, and having to move and click and do these things in time, and in a certain
Yeah, he's a lot. Not loving that. Go away. Get off my door. There he goes. He's gone. Oh.
So one of the things
Jesus, that's a rare drop. Ha! You guys see that? That's actually pretty fucking rare.
It's me thing
Yeah.
that showed up on.
That's actually pretty fantastic. Not the rarest thing that can happen, but also we got a follower, which thank you very much. That also scared the piss out of me because everything scares the piss out of me right now.
I think one of the things that's kind of interesting to me in this game, or for this game, is how much the aesthetic is like playing into everything. Like, if we were to distill this just to its ludic properties for a sec, okay? Like let's say we remove all of the flair of this game, right? What are we left with? Okay, we're left with, you have cameras which display whether, like, if we were to display them as like a red dot, right? Just a red dot. Like cameras which will display with the red dot when they're getting closer to you, right? You have to be here. You just have to shut these doors if they get close, right? That's the gameplay, right? It's and so if you were to strip the game of all of the aesthetic properties that it's working with, it's the gameplay is incredibly
it's
bare.
driving
right?
a bus across the desert, and
Yeah, it's
going
driving the
slightly
bus
left.
across the desert a little bit. Yeah, but it's all of the set dressing, right? Is what it's not the only thing that creates tension, right? But it's a huge portion of what's creating the tension. If it was just, if we imagined it as just abstract shapes, right, like squares and circles as representation instead of anything else, this probably wouldn't be a particularly compelling experience for the player. But the aesthetic drives home the emotions that the game wants the player to have.
Celebrate. I love that I've got the celebrate poster in here because it's like a cruel irony every time. What's made even worse is that there's an Easter egg where if you click on the bear's nose, Freddy's nose, in the celebrate poster, it'll make a little honk for you. Which is just like, hey, this little thing that you've given me to satisfy myself while I'm sitting here and urinating all over the floor from being so scared, Like, it really is insult, and it plays into that aesthetic by being an insult, Oh my god.
Well, I may be speaking as a foreigner, but talking about aesthetics, there's the role that Chuck E. Cheese seems to play as a grotesque kind of thing in consumer American culture, as a place where kids go to be happy, to have fun, but it's all sticky and stuff doesn't work, and the workers are,
Not happy.
precarious or whatever.
Disheveled high school students.
Oh my god. Alright, we're night 3 now. They will not wait for us again. I don't know what's gonna change, though. I don't know what they're adding. I just hate it. I just don't want to be here. Why did I select this game?
Yeah, you put yourself in this.
I know, and I'm writing a paper
I have no
on it.
sympathy.
Damn it, already? Fantastic.
I'm not implying that they died. That's not what I meant. Anyway, I better not take up too much of your time. Things are getting real tonight. Hey, listen, I had an idea. If you happen to get caught and want to avoid getting stuffed into a Freddy suit...
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys, the threat here is that they will stuff my body into an animatronic suit.
Maybe they'll put you in an empty costume instead.
Yeah, so the lore of this one, I pulled up the Wikipedia page so we can chat about it a little bit.
Fantastic.
Is that there was a psycho murderer who was wearing one of these animatronic character suits. He allegedly lured 5 children into one of the back rooms of the pizzeria and killed them. And so it is implied that these animatronics that are trying to kill you are these kids trying to get their revenge on this murderer.
It's me, I'm a murderer. Hi, guys. Please leave me alone. God damn it, get out of my fucking hallway. Oh my god. There is an element of randomness to this, by the way. Like, there's no, like, set amount of power consumption for the night. Like, certainly the rate power drops, it modulates over the course of the nights. But what really eats your power more than anything is the animatronics coming to your door, right? And you never know how many times they're gonna come bother you throughout the night.
Yeah, I mean, I think that level of obfuscation is super important, right? Just like how the game wants you to not know where these animatronics are at any given moment. The game doesn't want you to know how much power you have, right? The game doesn't want you to know how much power it will consume. They certainly don't want you to know, like, the paths that the animatronics might take, right? Like, the more random generation you have, the more chance it has to achieve its desired result of making you feel uneasy.
Yeah, uneasy. That's a word for it.
I'm guessing that for each night, not all the characters... I'm guessing that there's some kind of RNG with the paths all of these characters take. Like, they're not on the same exact path every in-game night.
It's funny you would say that, because you're absolutely wrong. They are on set paths. Otherwise, this would be so fucking hard. Oh my god. No, I
Never
always
mind
know
that.
the rabbit is going to come to my left door. I always know the fox is going to come to my left door. I always know the other two are going to come to my right door. And so I can... That's one of the failures of this game. Oh my god, get away! Jesus Christ! 3-4 times in the first 2 hours! I am so fucked, guys. I'm going to run out of power. But I always know which door they're going to come to. And this is, they don't tell you this. You have to figure it out by trial and error and dying a lot. But it helps because this game doesn't just have 5 nights, right? The first 5 nights, you could beat this thinking that it's totally random, thinking that there's no way to predict it. It'd be entirely possible. But those last 2 require you to be on your A game. You cannot be wasting any power. You cannot be wasting any time. They will just jump you. And so those are kind of your Doom-esque challenge levels, right? And in some degree, this game becomes more about becoming the algorithm than it is about, like, being scared at that point. You know? So I would say that there's like, Five Nights at Freddy's...
Well, that's how you get the redemption in horror movies, like in The Descent, you know, where in the first ending, you know, you have that, you know, or any other one where it's like you go into survival mode, right? And you, like, they try and make it so that the main character is just as much of a threat as the antagonist, you know, for the big battle or whatever. And, you know, you have to get into the sequence of clicking buttons and things faster and faster and faster, you know, to get to that heart palpitating moment where you can win, I guess.
Yep. I would agree. And what I think is like I said, I think a lot of the success of this game is the aesthetic, is these things that we're noting are, like, very obviously pulled from horror movies, but put in a context where, you know, if I'm streaming this or I'm doing this on YouTube, holy crap, is this shareable, you know? It's all of the affect without any of the plot, you know? What I'm
Right,
saying?
yeah. You can package it
Yeah.
up and make a YouTube video and get the hits because people want the spooks.
Yeah, people want to see me
And-
shit myself.
And for people who maybe want to stream it, it's also a low barrier for entry for buying the game, but then also playing the game. It's I don't want to say it's rudimentary, right? But it's not a complicated game to play, which lets other people also make viral moments in a way that other games that require
Are we
you to maybe
saying-
have more mastery would. Like, the barrier to playing it is different too.
Are we saying here, David, that indie games are now developing under the constraint of streamability?
I wouldn't say all of them, because you still
Oh,
have.
but they absolutely are. Not all of them, definitely, but
But that's definitely an interest, right? And that definitely was kind of spurred by this.
Freddy's out, guys. Freddy's he's fucking out. We are so...
he's the ace in the hole, I
He's-
suppose.
He's awful. We don't want him anywhere fucking near us. I can't do anything about him. I'm not kidding. Like, if he gets to my door, I am dead in the water. He does not care about doors. My man just walks right through them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So definitely the game seems to the game, it's kind of it's an interesting game in a sense, because the less you know, the better in a way, right? Like it's kind of it's a reverse effect where obviously this is the case for most horror media, right? It's like, you know, you can't really experience the same a jump scare twice, right? Because you know it's coming. But it's interesting to think about it, because in most games, right, the end goal is that, like, you become the master of the machine in some sense of that
I'm ratting
term.
this out, guys. Alright, I won't do it. I will not
No,
rat this
rat.
out.
What do you mean? That's not ratting. You have 1 hour. Close both doors. If the power will let you, why not?
Because Freddy
Yeah.
will still come get me.
Well, he's gonna come get you either way, right? He can go through the doors.
Yeah, I guess this is true. I just don't like him. You hear that? You hear that? I don't know if you could hear the chimes, but
No,
he's
none of
fucking
us can
coming.
hear anything. We can't turn on the sound
Okay, let
while
me...
we're watching the stream.
Let me have my panic, alright? I'm just gonna wrap that out on the left side. The door's staying shut. He can... do whatever he wants. I just do not want to deal with his sorry ass today. No.
Eric, so like, obviously not all indie games, but like, what are some indie games that you're thinking of that like are trying to also capitalize on like this similar like memeability of like FNAF?
So this is something that I think actually I think about quite a bit, because I've been thinking about network television lately, which obviously doesn't really matter anymore. I was watching a John Oliver last night, and they referenced this was from like last month, but they referenced like a musical cop show from like 1990, right? Where, hey, you made it. So
Holy shit.
So in the musical cop show, right? It's the cop show, but with a twist to get you interested, right? And I think indie games a lot of times have a similar kind of ethos to the network television, the way that the network television show kind of conceives of itself, right? It's something else but blah blah blah. And so the virality of that twist, that idea, is super important. And so the ways that you can go about it are varying, but the most successful indie games generally have something that is just highly shareable, right? Like within the core premise of the game, right? It's Five Nights at Freddy's. It's this moment when there's like a jump scare and you see Markiplier jump up and scream and cry or whatever. You see Ren right now screaming and crying about.
I don't have face cam turned on because
I was gonna say, where's the face cam?
Look, I'll turn it on for coffee break, but this week I did not shower before this.
But so you asked for like some specific examples. Five Nights at Freddy's is definitely one. I think a lot of indie horror, it's very prevalent in the indie horror game genre, I think.
Totally. Is Dead by Daylight considered indie?
No, Dead by Daylight is I mean, I don't know who develops it, but I'm just saying if your franchise has like characters from major motion picture things, there's no way.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other one I was thinking of that just went viral recently, I don't know if it was designed to be, but Among Us, like, it's not really the same thing, but that's one that just stuck out to me, as a virality kind of game.
What's interesting about Among Us?
Behavior Interactive's been around since '92. They mostly make movie tie-in games like SpongeBob SquarePants shit.
Gotcha.
The thing about Among Us that's really interesting is that the game didn't go viral when it was first released. It just sat around, essentially.
Like Among Us.
Yeah, and the culture around the game changed enough that eventually it got picked up by some people and then went viral from there, which is like a different kind of virality. It's almost like the culture wasn't, or the moment wasn't right for Among Us when it first came out, but then with the pandemic, I think it really, that changed. Also, I think Freddy's off the stage. Alright, so I'm definitely gonna die today because I don't know how to deal with Freddy. And he's already out. And we're not gonna, unless we get incredibly lucky, we are not gonna avoid him for 5 hours.
Well, not with that attitude. But yeah, Dead by Daylight, I would say. Yeah, it's a weird. I would say Dead by Daylight is almost like, if this is horror, like a horror indie game, I say Dead by Daylight's almost like more like a pop horror game. It definitely has a lot of the same vibes, but it's Kick, right? Is the 4v1, right? One person's the serial killer, 4 people trying to get out or something like that.
Yeah,
and you had similar games like Prey, I think is what it was called, that I think came out before it, right? But then you kind of take that formula and then put this horror element to it,
And I think a big part of the indie horror game is the mystery of it, right? It's by some guy in Canada or whatever, right? Like you don't know fucking anything about it, right? When you boot up Five Nights at Freddy's for the first time, you're like, animatronics? What? I'm in a room? What? Right? As opposed to, if you're taking like a AAA or even like a AA game or whatever you want to call it, right, they have advertising campaigns, marketing, right? All this stuff going into that budget. And I think that, if we'll go Walter Benjamin for a fucking second. It's kind of like there's a loss of aura, right?
Yeah.
There's an aura around the indie game of you don't know what you're gonna get, especially within the horror genre. Speaking as somebody who, like, one of my best friends is really into horror games, and very often what we'll do on like a Friday night is he'll just like, I got a new horror game, we're gonna play it on the TV, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing, right? And it's just like there's this mystery to it, right? And horror feeds off the unknown, right? It wants you to not know, right? As I kind of discussed earlier with the whole what this game's all about, what you're not seeing.
Well, what you can't see. There's only one fucking animation the whole game, you know, except for the jump scares. Like, that's one of the beautiful things. I don't know how much it matters, but, like, there's still images, you know? It's the implication of movement that makes this game work. It's not movement itself.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who was it that made that really shitty, somebody, I don't remember who, somebody has said, like, that, well, you know, film is just a bunch of still images. Right? It's just the illusion of motion. It's one of the worst, one of the most boring takes I can imagine. Like, it doesn't actually tell you anything about the experience of watching a film, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he will not leave me alone.
In terms of virality, so FNAF came out in 2014. The next year, Undertale came out. And it's not horror, but I think it has a lot of those similar elements that you talked about, Eric, where it's like this indie game that not a lot of people knew about, but kind of this craze started with it, right? And you would play it, and a lot of lore and a lot of instructions about how to play it and everything kind of developed really quickly. But there is that element of kind of like this indie game that it was kind of developed not with this huge thing, with this huge crowd in mind, and then it becomes this big thing. I don't know why, but I'm thinking of like Five Nights at Freddy's as like you go to like Blockbuster in the 90s, and it's like on the last shelf of the video game section that you can rent, and it's like this weird little thing that becomes kind of like a cult classic. And so like I wonder if there's like an element of that like kind of cult classic consumption of movies that somehow like maps onto this in some way, or maybe the conception of it is something.
Are you saying that Five Nights at Freddy's is the Blockbuster video of video games?
No, I'm saying like it's
indie
kind of,
games with a Blockbuster.
It feels like it's designed to be a game that like becomes viral later with like its aesthetic. I don't know why. That's just what it's reminded me of. Maybe it's because it's the Chuck E. Cheese of it all, but
yeah. By the way, I have 3 button presses between the times I have to check the camera for the fox. If I go any longer, he comes out. I just figured that out right here on the spot. I've got like enough time to do this, and that's it.
So yeah, yeah, one of the things I like kind of thinking about, I think that especially for people who really like kind of are into media, I don't know, that's kind of a weird thing to say, but people are like really like, you know, they like, you're right, they're like the kind of people who, you know, on Friday night they want to just consume a new movie or something like that, right? I think that there is something a little bit lost at the at like the loss of like a family video or a Blockbuster, because I remember like being a teenager, right? And
Yep, we're dead. That's it.
Freddy?
Yep, he's here. I ran out of power. We're dead. We're so fucking dead. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's horrifying. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it?
We'll watch this. I'll make my dumb fan vid point, and then I guess that's the end of the stream.
Yeah.
It's one. Good timing, Freddy.
Thanks, Freddy. Thanks for coming to say hi and eat my face. God, this is a variable amount of time, by the way.
He doesn't eat your face. He stuffs you into an animatronic thing where you slowly bleed to death. There's a difference.
This is a variable amount of time, by the way. We could sit here for the rest of the hour, or he could eat my face right now. There it is. There it is. Ah, fuck me.
So,
anyway, you were saying,
Eric. There's something I think lost a little bit from like that going to like, you know, your Blockbuster and just like kind of perusing all the videos and like looking at a cover or reading the back, and you don't even have like the internet on your phone, which was like, I know maybe I'm a geezer to you guys, but didn't have the internet on my phone, me nor any of my friends in 2007 or 8. So right, you see a movie, you're just like, sure, right? Like Octopus 2, River of Fear, let's go, right? And so, and I think that is there's a little bit of nostalgia there, not just for someone like me to like experience a piece of media in that way, but I think for everyone, because when you're a child, you just don't know anything. So everyone has had some experience of like experiencing some piece of media almost by accident and being changed by it in some way. And the more and like browsing Netflix and other things can get close to that kind of accidental feel, but they can't fully replicate it. And something like this, Five Nights at Freddy's, and the virality of it, I think it picks up on that, like, I just found this thing, right? And like, and now I like this thing, right? That kind of ethos, that kind of thing that really punches you in the gut. And I think that's part of the reason why these kinds of games are so successful.
Well, that's all we got for today. Thank you guys for joining us. We will catch you guys. What is our next stream tomorrow? Is we have a Fan Game Follies is next, right?
Yes. Yep. 4 p.m. tomorrow.
4 p.m. tomorrow.
Playing more.
Majora's
Speaking
Mask.
of a different kind of horror, we're playing Majora's Mask, so that'll be fun.
All right. Thank you guys so much, and go have a spooky day.
Bye.